while you're here, don't forget to check out the xreport.net. I repeat, the xreport.net for exclusive sports content written by yours truly as well as fellow writers. Now, here at the X Report, we love games, so we got another game coming up. All right, so
Is it Nicholas?
No, it's not Nicholas. It's going to be about the NFL, actually. All right, so for those of you who don't know, my all-time favorite show is Scandal, and it will be having its series finale next Thursday, April 19th, and needless to say, I'm heartbroken about it. But rather than wallow in my pity, I decided to pay homage to this classic by introducing a new game. Now, the original premise of the show was Olivia Pope, aka Kerry Washington, being a bigwig DC fixer who everyone in power came to when they needed a situation fixed or handled. So I thought, why can't we have something like that in the sports world? So Malik and I are going to hear out 10 NFL teams' dilemmas and provide them with a solution to get them back on track. Are you ready?
Yep.
I think this is
Nicholas.
All right, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. All right, so Malik, you and I are sitting in our office talking. Knock on the door. Who is it? Jerry Jones walks in. He comes to you with this. As much as we hate to admit it, we're not ready to compete in the playoffs. Our roster is full of players who are either inexperienced, immature, or just too old to have a substantial impact. We currently only have $1.98 million in cap space, and we know that we need that money so we can bring in playmakers and pay the ones we already have. What should we do? All right, Malik, what solution are you proposing to Jerry Jones?
All right, Jerry. First of all, we got to evaluate your roster. See who deserves to get a pay cut, who deserves to cut, who deserves just to get released. First of all, obviously, Dez Bryant should not be making $12 million. So first of all, you're either going to tell Dez Bryant, hey, you're taking a pay cut, or you're just getting released flat out. You're not going to make $12 million. We're going to cut your deal. We're going to cut you down all the way $10 million. So you're making about $2 million. Take it or leave it, or you just leave. That's number one. For two, I understand you got a pass rusher on your team. I think it's Lawrence Jackson. Am I right?
DeMarcus Lawrence?
Yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence on your team. I understand he had a good year, but there's no way in hell I'm paying him that much I'm paying a franchise tag for him that much when we got a bunch of other needs. I'm sorry. I'm not franchise tagging him. That's money that could be spent elsewhere. You could have used that money on playmakers. I mean, sure, he's a pass rusher, but there are a lot of pass rushers. This draft is full of pass rushers you could have got for cheap. So there's no way in hell I would have gave him that. Me personally, I wouldn't have gave him that. So I would have rescinded my franchise tag like they did, like the Panthers did Josh Norman a couple years ago. I would have rescinded my franchise tag. So let me see, you get, what was it, 15 mil? Am I correct? Was that 15 mil?
I believe so. It was between 15 and 17 mil. I gotta check. It was up there though.
Well, okay, so with those two moves that I just did, I just really just gave you about 27 mil in cap space.
All right.
So
I feel that.
Let's see what else. You just cut Kendrick. I wouldn't have cut Kendrick. You need defensive back help. Orlando Kendrick, yeah, he's hurt. Yeah, he's older. But I would have kept him around for one more year. He's experienced. So I would have kept him around. He's probably your best corner you would have had on your team. So I would have kept Kendrick with that money. Also, Sean Lee got to go. He's hurt all the time. He's got to get cut. He's making a lot of money. Jason Witten, I understand you're a reliable target. Either you're going to take a pay cut or you got to go too. So with that projected cap space, you ranging around maybe the mid 30 millions, below 30 million. Like I said, this draft is full of tight ends. This draft is full of wide receivers. It's full of pass rushers. So you could have fixed your problems through the draft and also signed. I would have still signed Hearns. Could have got Hearns for cheaper, but have still signed him. Let's see who else is available. You got Breland still available. I'll bring Breland in, at a cheaper rate than what the Panthers was going to do because of his injury. You know what I'm saying? So it's things you could do as a Cowboys, you know what I'm saying? But you got to cut your losses with these old-ass, washed-up-ass players who you in love with. How about you, Ray? What you think?
I agree with a lot of moves you suggested. Most notably being Dez Bryant's deal, because as of this season, he's scheduled to make $12.5 million. I'm looking Dez Bryant dead in his face like, look, you either taking a pay cut or you out of here. It's either you can get with it or you can get gone. Another deal that I definitely would restructure is Tyrone Crawford's, because he's set to make $6 million this year for nothing. No offense to him, but he's not the notable pass rusher. You're not supposed to be making $6 million. And I would cut wide receiver Terrence Williams because he's scheduled to make $3.5 million. And as of right now, he might be your third best receiver on the team. So no, those are the moves I would make. I think Jerry Jones would leave the office. He'd be a little upset because we told him the truth, but he'd get over it when he actually had money. All right, another knock. Who could it be? New GM Marty Herney for the Carolina Panthers. In hopes of improving our wideouts, we traded Torrey Smith for Daryl Worley, and now it's looking like our starting corners are going to be James Bradberry and Ross Cockrell. Neither of those players are bad, but neither have shown they have the game-breaking ability that we've been looking for. Not to mention, our safeties leave much to be desired. We made the playoffs last year, and we believe we can do it again. But what can we do in our secondary to shore up a spot and compete in the pass-heavy NFC South?
Well, now, since I'm a fan of your team, this is going to hit home and personal. I might be biased, but this is what I would do to have to get up to it. First of all, I'm cutting Mike Adams. He's older. He's scheduled to make $1 million in cap space. Something you can use. That's number one. Number two, Crockwell. Okay, I would keep Crockwell. Crockwell's not bad, but I would keep Crockwell. What I would do is when I cut Mike Adams, I would bring in safety Eric Reed. You can sign Eric Reed for just about anything right now, but I will give him a respectable offer. That fixed that from so well. Corners, you can do that through the draft. I can fix your corners backs through the draft. Draft Alexander, have Crockwell as your backup corner. Him and Bradberry start. So that kind of fixes your secondary problem. But if you want to just go out and just get playmakers, wide receivers are playmakers, you got to start by cutting your losses. Matt Khalil, he's got to go. There's no way in hell he should be making that much money. He's always injured, and he's not that productive when he's on the field. He's got to restructure his contract, or he's got to go. Let me think about another move that we could possibly make. Let's see. Wide receivers. Devin Funchess. He's not bad, but I'll restructure his contract. I'll put some initiatives in his contract that you have to stay healthy for this amount of time to get your money. Which we all know he's going to be hurt because he's always hurt every year. Something's always wrong with him. Torrey Smith is a cool signing. It's not bad. $5 million. It's not bad for Torrey Smith. Deep threat. But that's probably what you can really do. I mean, there's not really that many holes. You're going to draft the pass rusher. I'll just draft. Yeah. And ask Khalil to take a pay cut.
If we're just talking about the secondary, I definitely agree. Get Jair Alexander, because though he's about 5'10", 5'11", he's not the prototypical size you want. He's very scrappy and shown that he's not afraid to go up against anybody. And Malik and I have been talked about this before, but Bradberry, you can tell when he's lined up against the Julios and the Mike Evans, he looks a little scared. And he's on the bigger side. So bring in somebody who's not afraid to get contact, not afraid to press at the line of scrimmage. So I think Jair will be a great signing. Definitely sign either Kenny Vaccaro or Eric Reed, because right now you're not in position to be picky. And both are very talented, just with a few injury issues. And if you can get past the racial implications of Eric Reed, I think you'd have a great addition to your secondary. And if that fails, definitely look out for Jesse Bates. Most likely in the second round, you're going to trade up for him because a lot of safety-needed teams are going to be picking earlier in that round. So don't be afraid to trade up. Don't be afraid to trade players who do have big contracts, such as Ryan and or Matt Khalil. And I think that would put your team in the right direction, especially since you are in a arguably the toughest division in football. All right. Another knock on the door. Who is it? It's none other than Bill Belichick of the New England Patriots.
Surprise.
I know. Normally, I would have no reason to come here. However, I fear we may have made a mistake. We traded Jimmy Garoppolo this past season to the 49ers for a second-round pick, which is fine and dandy. However, it leaves the death behind Tom pretty empty. Right now, it's looking like our only backup is Brian Hoyer, and I don't really need to tell you why that's not comforting. Even though he's Tom Brady, he's also going to be 41 years old at the start of the season, and we expect to see him take more bumps since we didn't re-sign Nate Solder. What should we do at quarterback to secure our future?
Alrighty. First of all, Mr. Belichick, it's an honor. Surprise. But me personally, I would draft a younger quarterback. Obviously, you're not going to get one of the top ones. You're not even going to get Lamar Jackson. I'm hearing rumors that you guys like Lamar, but you're not even going to get Lamar Jackson. I would take a look at someone like Mason Rudolph. Again, I mentioned his name. It seems like he's going to fall to maybe the second round. You guys have a second now. You can give him a year or two to develop behind Brady, so when Brady's done. But I would sign Mason Rudolph. Another look I would do is, we know that your owner's probably not going to do it because he's a Patriot. He's not going to look past the race thing. I would take a look at Colin Kaepernick. He's experienced. He's a veteran. He's not old. He knows what it takes to win. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's played in the playoffs. He's played in big game situations. So I would look at him. And he also could take hits. He played in the NFC West back when it was real tough. So he can take hits. He's durable. Out of those two, I would do that. Or I would trade. If you're feeling real comfortable, like you want one of those top quarterbacks, you could just trade your first and second for a pick in the top 10. And go out to a guy that you like. But I would go after Mason Rudolph. That's just my opinion. I would look at Mason Rudolph or maybe Josh Allen if Allen's around, but I think Allen's going to be gone. I know Mayfield may be gone. It all depends. If you want Mayfield, he might be around the 10, 11, 12 area. But if no one's there, I'd get up Mason Rudolph.
All right, so look, Bill, you guys have 4 picks within the first 2 rounds. That's a lot of draft capital, especially for teams as needy as a team looking at the Jets or the Colts. So I feel like you could definitely try to sneak in. You probably have to give up all those picks because 3 of the 4 are later rounds, but that's still pretty good position. That's 3 very solid picks, so definitely try to trade up. If you trade up, I think the best quarterback to fit your scheme would be Josh Rosen. He kind of has that Patriots air about him. And I feel like he'd be the perfect student to Tom Brady.
I think Baker Mayfield would too. Sorry to cut you off, but I think Baker Mayfield has that mentality like Tom Brady too.
Yeah, it'd just be a matter of does Bill and Cole, they want to deal with it because, there have been questions about his maturity, whereas Josh Rosen, he's very accurate, very mature, kind of split on how he is with his teammates, but I mean, people feel the same way about Tom Brady. And if you're unable to move up, definitely look out for quarterbacks that could be there at the top of the second, like Malik said, Mason Rudolph or a Luke Falk. If you want to wait a little bit longer, you can look at a Mike White out of Western Kentucky or Riley Ferguson. So there are options. Don't feel like you have to rush it, but just know you definitely do have to get somebody because Brian Hoyer isn't going to be your next franchise quarterback. You got to find somebody else. But all right. Thanks, Bill, for coming in. And look, got somebody else at the door. Who could it be? John Snyder, GM for the Seattle Seahawks. With all the defensive turnover that's taken place this offseason, myself and the organization can no longer ignore the glaring hole that is our offensive line. We have to do what we can to protect our best player and quarterback, Russell Wilson, from injuries, and it's clear our offensive line isn't necessarily in the best position to do it. We may be rebuilding, but we don't want to start it over with a broken quarterback. What do you think we should do to fix our offensive line?
Interesting. What I want to say is not going to be very, you're not going to like it. But I believe to fix your offensive line, you do it 2 ways. For one, I would go to the draft. Obviously, there is no one I think available right now that's going to, really fix your problem. So you're going to have to draft, and that might not fix it. You're going to have to draft. Another thing I would do is, if you do feel like you can trade for someone, you don't have the cap space, I feel like you should go to your agent veterans. I know this is going to hurt, but I would go to someone like Cam Chancellor. Like, look, if you want to stay in Seattle, we're going to have to actually take a pay cut. If not, we're going to have to let you go. Or we're going to trade you. I would look to trade for someone like Dallas. Think about it. Dallas needs safeties, but they have offensive linemen. So why not trade Cam for an offensive lineman or Earl Thomas for an offensive lineman? That way, you're getting rid of a big cap space and you're filling a need. So I would just straight up trade an offensive lineman for Earl Thomas. I mean, you're already rebuilding. You let go of Richard Sherman, in my opinion, the heartbeat of your team or your defense. You let him go. Earl's probably got one more year. He's gonna ask for a big contract. So why not get rid of it now and get something in return? That's just what I would do, or just draft.
Nah, I definitely feel you about the trade aspect, but I actually believe since when you're drafting around, 17, 18, there's not really going to be any options as far as a game-breaking, playmaking, star-studded offensive tackle. So I personally believe that you should trade back. Trade back later on in the round and then get a high, if you can, get a high second round pick. And with your first round pick, get Colton Miller, offensive tackle out of UCLA, because he's in my opinion, the second best offensive tackle. Because Mike McGlinchey's probably going to be gone. And then at guard, go back to that in the second round and get Willie Hernandez from UTEP. He's a tough, hard-nosed guy. Very seldom takes plays off, and I honestly think that shores up it. I won't say it completely shores up your offensive line, but it's a huge help, and it gives Russell a better line that he's played with since he's come into the league.
Yeah, that's an option you can do. But the reason why I say you could trade Earl Thomas to Dallas because that's where he wants to go. And like I said, in Dallas, Earl Thomas probably got one more year left, if I'm not mistaken. And he's going to ask for a big contract. And he might not come back even if you do offer it because he might want to go somewhere different. So why not get that off your hands, off the books now, and get something you can gain? And like we've been saying this whole time, that you can get another safety. This draft is full of safeties. You can get another safety to step in. He may not be an Earl Thomas because there's not that many Earl Thomases out there. But you will have, let's say, like there's not a Richard Sherman on your roster, but you suspect Griffin to step up and take that role. So I mean, you're going younger. Why not get rid of Earl Thomas now? He doesn't want to be there. Obviously, he says he does, but the whole "come get me" thing. He's a free agent next year. He's one of the big money that you guys probably will not have. Why not just build around your linebacker with Bobby Wagner? Build around Bobby Wagner. Cut him loose. Get some cap space back. That way you can sign players. You can draft pass rushers, younger pass rushers. You can draft a safety. And get an offensive lineman for one of the best lines in the league.
I feel that, but the reason why I would be kind of shocked if Dallas was willing to trade one of their offensive linemen is because they have absolutely no depth behind their starters. And if you ever need any proof that they have no depth, check out their game against the Falcons. Without Tyron Smith, you want Chaz Green protecting your quarterback's blind side? No, you don't. All right. Thanks, John. We'll see you later. Who's next? GM Mike Tannenbaum of the Miami Dolphins. It seems crazy to think that 2 years ago we were in the playoffs, but now look at us. We're dangling at the bottom of the food chain. We've made some moves to get some receivers this offseason, which have helped, but our quarterback situation is still quite murky. It's evident that Jay Cutler didn't work out. Matt Moore isn't cut out to be a starter, and Ryan Tannehill can't seem to stay on the field. We feel like it's about time we moved on, but who should we move on to?
You're interesting. First of all, where are you picking it in the draft? What pick do they have?
11.
I would move up. I wouldn't chance it. Some people think Baker Mayfield may fall to you guys, that Lamar Jackson may be available. But obviously, if I was you guys, I'd do anything I can to go after Baker Mayfield. I know Lamar's there; he's electrifying, but you need someone who can step in now. And if he come to Miami, he would have to step in. I think Lamar was struggling in Miami. Baker also, he brings excitement to your fan base. He brings a fire that y'all haven't had since Dan Marino. I would move up. I would call someone like the Colts or someone like let's see who else is up there.
Denver is taking calls.
Cleveland, call the Bills. But I would definitely move on. I would try to get in that top. You picking an 11. I would try to get in that top 8.
Top 8.
I would try to get in that top 8, and I would definitely pick Baker Mayfield. I would call Denver. Denver has their guy. I would call Denver like, Denver, do you want to swap picks? I'll give you this plus a fifth or something just to swap picks. You know, they're not dropping that bad. They'll still get who they want. So I'll call Denver and be like, what would it take to swap? Because you definitely need a quarterback. You definitely need and I would probably personally, it's Baker Mayfield for me. Now,
I agree with you as far as Baker Mayfield. I think scheme fit wise, he's the best option. He definitely brings excitement to that fan base. And with their offensive line, they have pretty strong guard play. And for shorter quarterbacks, that's honestly more important than than your left tackles or offensive tackles. So I think that Baker would be a huge upgrade over. Honestly, I do agree about the Baker Mayfield thing. I feel like you'd have about a 70% chance that he fall to you at 11. But if you could trade up to probably about the 8th, 9th pick, I think you'll have a better chance of getting your guy. But if you're looking at anybody, I'd go Baker. Baker is pretty much the safest choice for you at this point. Definitely brings some explosion to that roster. Makes you a can't-miss team.
Tom Brady's fired. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine the thing, Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield, head-to-head, how it's going to be?
Those would be 2 exciting games, especially considering whoever you sign, most likely they're going to start from day 1. But all right. Thanks, Mike. Who's next? Brett Veach, 1-year GM from Kansas City. Well, what can we do for you? How does an offense with Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt, and Tyreek Hill blow a 21-3 lead to the Titans in the playoffs? How does a team that start off the year 5-0 and then drop 4 of the next 5 games? Do you see the pattern here? We are too good of a franchise to continue to fall off the wagon, and I know if it keeps happening, we're all going to lose our jobs. What should we do to gain some consistency?
First of all, you don't get rid of your quarterback who's been safe. Just your quarterback that's been a pro since he's been in Kansas City for a rookie. I understand you want Mahomes to start, but hey, you're not new with the rush. You don't want to rush. Like if it's not fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But okay, I guess that's what you did. But consistency. You need defense. Your defense is getting old. Because first of all, let me stop going off the wall here. Let's talk about consistency. You don't give up on a Pro Bowl level cornerback. This is how you blow a lead. I know Marcus Peters was a lot of problems. I know he's a headache, but still, it's worth it. He's a Pro Bowl level corner. He's not a complete shutdown corner, but he's a Pro Bowl level corner. He's young, and he could have been the face of your defense. Second of all, you don't have players on your team that can stay healthy. I love Eric Berry, one of the best safeties in the league, but he cannot stay healthy. He cannot be on the field. If you're not on the field, then what good are you to be? You have to find players first of all, you as a GM have to be consistent and just stick with your guns with players. You drafted Marcus Peters, you didn't draft him, but he was there. He's a Pro Bowl player. Stick with him. Eric Berry, he can't stay on the field. So I'm sorry to say you're going to have to probably get rid of him or pay cut. For 2, your linebacking core is getting old. Taba Ali, y'all let him go. Johnson, he's older now. I don't know if y'all still have him. Y'all need to get younger. Y'all need to get younger on defense. Your defensive line is not that good like it once was. So your problem is your defense. And instead of getting better, you're getting worse. The offense, okay, you have all the offense in the world, like you said. Look at the score. You lost a close game to Tennessee. Why? Because your defense gave up. Your defense let Marcus Mariota come back. You don't have a good defense. Your defense is not what it's cracked up to be. You have to get faster and you have to get younger. Maybe you change your scheme to a 4-3 instead of a 3-4, but you have to get younger. And you don't release or trade your best players for nothing but pocket change. If you're going to trade Marcus Peters, you at least have to get a 2 or a 1 or something for him. You don't trade an all-pro cornerback because of his attitude issues. Just look at Keith Talib. Even though he had attitude issues, look how long he stayed in Denver. So I mean, you don't trade away a star-studded corner. So get younger on defense. That's your problem. Is your defense. Your offense is explosive, but if your defense can't stop anybody, what good is that? Right.
All right. I agree with you. But I think that what they need to do is find some alpha males. They need to find some seasoned vets that have shown that they can win. They need to find some proven winners, or at least some respected members of the NFL who are some free agents. Because, like you said, I love Eric Berry, I love Justin Houston, but they haven't been on the field enough to really have that sustainable impact. And even when they are on the field, you can tell they're not really the really vocal guys, the ones you cling to when you need leadership. So there's definitely guys they could look out for. If they want to look up for a seasoned vet, Navarro Bowman is definitely an easy sign, especially because they do need a linebacker. And if you want to look to the draft, linebacker Josie Jewell, he was a great leader, phenomenal presence while he was at Iowa. Or you could get safety Ronnie Harrison. He's an enforcer, and you need that strength and that consistency on your team. If you want to have consistency as a team, you have to have leaders. You have to have someone to look to. So whenever things are going wrong and you feel like you're about to lose a lead, you're going to have a player who's not going to allow it to happen. So I feel like that's like the first step. I think that's what they really need to do.
Who are their corners? Like, who are you guys' corners? Like, you
Kendall Fuller.
You just let go of Marcus Peters, like, and then you just lost one of your corners to Cleveland. You know, he wasn't starting. You lost another corner to Cleveland. So who are your corners now? Like, who is your defensive backs?
Steven Nelson. I want to say Steven Nelson is still there. They traded for Kendall Fuller.
Kendall Fuller. I mean, I would have been comfortable if you had Kendall Fuller and Marcus Peters. Cool, but you let go of Marcus Peters for what? Because of his attitude? Fuck that. You need that kind of attitude and mentality. As a corner, you want your corners to be that way. Why would you? That was a mistake on you guys. You guys are not consistent. I don't know what's going on. You guys rebuilding or something, but it's outrageous.
All right. Thanks, Brett. We didn't mean to be so harsh on you, but, the truth hurts. All right. Another knock. It's my guy, Ozzie Newsome, GM for the Baltimore Ravens. Even though we've signed Michael Crabtree and John Brown, we could still use a spark to our receiving corps. Our fans have gotten a bit restless after former first-rounder Brashad Perryman proved to be a bust. We need an offensive win in the first round ASAP. So what should we do?
Oh, man. I was going to say draft Christian Kirk or Sutton or someone of that nature. But first of all, let me get this out the way. What were you smoking when you signed RG3? Anyway,
that's not the point. That's not the point. We talked about that earlier.
Off the talk. Because you on that stuff. You on that K2. But obviously, I will go after Christian Kirk. I will do whatever I can. Maybe he'll be there in the second round. But if I'm there and he's there on my pick round, I'm drafting him. Or you get Sutton. Or I would look to see what would it take to get Odell Beckham Jr.
Too much that we just don't have.
You don't understand. I know the Giants love him, but I would do whatever it takes to try to get him. If I couldn't, I would draft Christian Kirk. That's just bottom line.
I like Christian Kirk. Honestly, Ozzie, if the 16th pick rolls around and it's been such a run on quarterbacks that you got about 3 or 4 options or premier options at 16, if you aren't afraid to trade back about 2-3 picks, I say do it. Get more draft capital so we can work on building this offense up, making it at least somewhat compatible with our defense because the Ravens defense, trying to be impartial, is really, really good compared to an offense that is very much so lacking. It needs some firepower, so boosting up picks will definitely help you out a lot. But if you're picking at 16, clearly Christian Kirk, Maryland boy, DJ Moore will be have an immediate impact in the flock. I think fans would rally and love those picks. And of course, I mean, if you want to just go safe, Calvin Ridley, if he's available, he's not a bad option. It's just I feel like he's not as explosive as the two previously mentioned names. But you know,
I
Ozzy,
noticed you didn't say Sutton.
Sutton's not explosive. Sutton catches everything, yeah, but
That's what you need. You need someone that catches everything.
yeah, but if you're only catching like 5 yard gains, like I'd rather have more so of a deep threat. Like I like Sutton though. If we got Sutton, I'd be cool with it. But honestly, you need to find at this point, Ozzy. I know it's your last year, but you need to find spark players. You need to find players who not only do your team get behind, but the fans do, who are excited to watch him play. Because Rashad Perryman, you need to find someone who was everything that he wasn't. So I believe you'll make the right choice. You know, the players we mentioned, definitely take a look at those guys, and I think you'll have a surefire win. All right,
RG3.
go home. All right. Thanks, Ozzy. Hold on. Somebody else. Who is it? General Manager Bob Quinn of the Detroit Lions.
Oh.
Matthew Stafford is on the cusp of being something great, but it still feels like our counterparts in the NFC North are steps ahead of us. With Matt Patricia coming over and us franchise tagging Ziggy Ansah, I feel comfortable with our defense. Now I feel like our only missing piece is our run game. We did sign LeGarrette Blount, but I'm not expecting him to be our main guy. Amir Abdullah hasn't been what we hoped, and Theo Riddick is a better receiving back. What running back will be the best option to bust up this cluster?
Jarius Guys, LSU. One thing I have to say. I mean, this is a deep running back class. Get guys, Sonny Mitchell. You know, he's available. If he's there, you get Sonny Mitchell. But those two guys, you've got a winner. I don't see anybody free agency. You know, DeMarco Murray, he's too old. I don't see anyone that's, like I said, a free agent that's going to be like take you over the hump. But those two guys, being young, being fresh legs, especially Jerry's guys, yeah, you need that. I think he'll bring something to the Lions that you need. You know, coming a Tiger to a Lion, that'd be cool. But yeah, that's what they get this draft one. You know, I wouldn't sign a free agent. Don't fall for the whole DeMarco Murray thing. Don't do that. Just don't.
If you've listening, Bob, if you've been listening to any of my podcasts, you know, since we started, I think you know that I believe that Darius Geis would be perfect for your offense. That his presence is what is going to make Matthew Stafford in the conversation of some of the best quarterbacks in the league. You can quote me on that. You get Darius Geis, you're fighting for a playoff spot. Period. You're fighting for one. But if that fails and by 19 he's not there, 20, forgive me, then as painful as it is, there's nobody else who I would rush to pick at no one. But at 2 or 3, Sony Michel is definitely a viable option. Or Rashad Penny out of San Diego State. I know his buzz is kind of falling off over the course of draft season, but he's still a very explosive guy, great size.
What are he running a 40?
Penny?
Yeah.
Let me look. But I know it was I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. I'm looking it up now. Because a speed back would definitely be helpful. I mean, the Lions haven't had a 100-yard rusher since Reggie Bush. And people forget that Reggie Bush even was a Lion. He ran a 4.46.
Not bad.
No, not bad at all. At 5'11", 220, that's not bad at all. That's great, actually. So, yeah, Rashad Penny, you could definitely find him in the 3rd round. But, yeah, Bob, I mean, you're one of those teams that is literally one move away. And this one move can completely fix your franchise.
Well, I believe you got to ask more pass rushes, you know. Honestly, it's not enough. You have to have more pass rush, you know what I'm saying? Especially get pressure on someone like, you know, Aaron Rodgers, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we're not worried about Mitch, you know. Kirk Cousins, he is what he is. But you need more pass rush. Ziggy Ansah, as good as he is, he has nagging injuries. They double him. You're going to need more. You're going to need more up front.
Look, Bob. Look. You've made it this far with your pass rush. You made it to the playoffs with the pass rush you have now. Get a running back.
It got crushed.
Get a running back, man. You can't have Matthew Stafford throwing the ball 50 times.
I'm saying, yes, no doubt, get a running back, Bob. But also in the draft, get more pass rush.
Oh yeah, you need more pass rush, but running back is definitely, in my opinion, the more immediate solution. Because I don't think any pass rusher, aside from maybe Bradley Chubb, you bring him in day one and he's averaging a sack a game for you. Whereas if you get Darius Geis, I'd be shocked if there's a game where he doesn't run for at least 50 yards. So that's all I'm saying. I say Geis. I feel like that's really your move. All right, we got two more GMs scheduled for appointments, and next one is Howie Roseman, GM for the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. We just won our very first Super Bowl, and we're currently still riding that high. However, we know that it's going to be stiff competition in the NFC to make it back to the Super Bowl. Teams like the Vikings and Rams have retooled their rosters and look like our biggest competition. How do we keep them off our heels?
Well, it's not really much you can do to the Rams. I mean, they're loaded. I'm not trying to crush your dreams or nothing, but they're loaded. I think the Rams are more closer than the Vikings are right now. But I still think you guys are in contention. I still think you guys are number one. You're the champs. But what can you do? You did a lot of things. You signed Michael Bennett. You got yourself another pass rusher. The contracts don't expire until next year. So, I mean, if I was you guys, I mean, you guys have the draft. I mean, you guys have an offensive line that's great, defensive line that's great. You guys believe in your linebacker core, your safeties, your defensive backs is good, offense, your wideouts is good, your running backs are set. Now, your quarterback is coming off injury. I mean, I would just draft the best player available in the draft. I mean, when I look at y'all roster up to down, there's not that many glaring weaknesses. I would say maybe a tight end because you just lost your tight end. I would draft a tight end. But other than that, I mean, I'm going after the best player available. You know what I'm saying? I draft depth. I draft for depth players. I just, hopefully Carson Wentz goes good. His recovery goes good. But guys are loaded too. I mean, you guys, up from bottom to top, you guys have a roster. You guys don't have any glaring needs. But I would draft the best player available. I have to say, I'll say tight end. But other than that, keep flying.
Kind of similar to what he said. But I think it really starts off with keeping that underdog mentality, because the biggest problem with Super Bowl champions is they get cocky. And when they get cocky, they forget that just as easily they can go from win the Super Bowl to being the first team out of playoff contention. So definitely just keep that mentality. Keep fighting. You're Philadelphia. You're the freaking city of fighters, man. Rocky came from Philly. So just keep fighting. Keep that mentality that everyone's out to get you, because when you play like that, you play harder. Don't play like you just won the Super Bowl.
Rocky?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Don't play like you're the champions. Play like everyone's counting you out to win the championship. Keep that mentality, and I think that'll keep you together. Definitely don't try to rush Carson Wentz back onto the field. Nick Foles just won the Super Bowl for you with Super Bowl MVP. Don't count that out. And I'm not saying expect him to play phenomenal or anything, but keep him around so you're not rushing Carson off the IR. Let him progressively get healthy, because we saw what he could do when he's healthy. Honestly, when he was healthy, he should have won MVP. He would have won it had he been healthy. So just don't try to force him on the field. And don't be afraid to use the draft to build depth. I mean, you have a pretty stacked roster, but, having a stacked roster means you're going to have a lot of contracts coming up, and you're going to have a lot of one-year deals. So definitely use this draft to build depth. That's probably the biggest thing. All right, final team on the docket. Who is it? Chris Ballard, GM for the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, boy, your team a train wreck.
I hate to admit it, but our roster is arguably the worst in the league. I've even heard reports that our roster may even be worse than the Browns. What should we do to stop being a laughingstock?
First thing to do is cut this $100 million quarterback you got. You guys need a lot of needs, and I would try to collect as much draft capital as I can get. Sort of like Cleveland did when they had all those draft picks. That's what you guys need to do. You need to go into a whole rebuild mode. I'm not saying, yes, I am. You guys need to tank this whole season. You guys need to get a bunch of draft picks. You guys need to tank this whole season because you're not going to win anything. What I would do is, me personally, I would move back in the draft and draft the best player available based off of our need. I would cut Andrew Luck, or I would find a trade. There's going to be some desperate team out there that would trade. So I will put Andrew Luck on the market. Not only would I trade back, but I will put Andrew Luck on the market for a trade, and I will take that's the best deal I can get for him. Cough, cough, I believe the Patriots would come knocking if Andrew Luck became available. That's just my belief. But anyways, what I would do is I would trade Andrew Luck, get what I can get for him. I would trade back in the draft the best player based on need. I would look at on my whole roster. I would look and see who has potential and who doesn't, and I would cut everybody who I think that doesn't have potential. Me personally, I would sign Eric Reed because you guys need a safety. I mean, Malik Hooker he's hurt, but he's going to come back. He's phenomenal. He had 3 interceptions, I believe, in the games he played.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be a special player. But I would draft Eric Reed to be that veteran presence on the other side of him. I would sign him. I would build my defense first. But yeah, that's what I would do.
All right. I would definitely trade Andrew Luck, and the first team I'm calling is Buffalo. Buffalo has 2 first-round picks. Let's start off with there. Then they have a whole bunch of second-round picks, too. Oh, yeah, me and Buffalo are talking. I'm getting rid of Andrew Luck. Honestly, I'm taking the best deal, but my very first call is going to be to Buffalo. And then the thing is, they have the luxury of not having to rush him because they did just sign A.J. McCarron. If they wanted to, they could still draft somebody. So, yeah, no, me and Buffalo are going to have some long, drawn-out conversations. That's my first move. And then even after I get those picks, I'm trading back. And with you coming at me with such a broad question, I just decided I'll give you a broad answer. Here are all the players in the draft that you should be looking at. Quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Running backs, either Darius Geis or Sony Michel. Wide receiver, DJ Chark. Defensive end, Bradley Chubb. Edge rusher, Harold Landry. Inside linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds. Cornerback, Denzel Ward. Because honestly, with the draft capital you can get by trading Andrew Luck and then trading back, oh, you could have plenty. You could completely retool your roster. It'd be a whole bunch of young guys, but honestly, these young guys will have more of an impact than the guys you have now. So, Chris, you need to get on it. Call Buffalo. Talk to them. Talk their ear off. Talk bad about Nathan Peterman and A.J. McCarron. Make them see that they need Andrew Luck more than you need Andrew Luck. And tell them you need those first-round picks and second-round picks more than they do. Do that. You're on your way.
Or like I said, the Patriots will come calling. The Patriots will come calling, and they will trade you those picks for Andrew Luck. I believe
they're not giving you 2 1s for a backup quarterback. Not for a backup.
They'll give you 2 1s. I believe they'll give you a 1 for the new successor. Because you already know that gives Andrew Luck time to heal up. He doesn't have to rush. Brain is right there, and if he goes down, you have Andrew Luck. Yeah.
No, I'm calling Buffalo. Buffalo got the 12th and 22nd.
I'm calling Buffalo.
I'm calling Buffalo first.
I'm also calling Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland too.
I know Cleveland's going to probably have Tyrod Taylor. I understand it, but do we honestly believe that Cleveland wouldn't take a look at Andrew Luck?
Hey, Cleveland is getting real generous with these draft picks, so call them.